Welcome to tonight's live and Merry Christmas to everyone. We want to appreciate all our friends and followers and all our well wishers, everyone that supports what we do and join us all the time. We want to use this opportunity and this season to thank you and appreciate you for your kindness and support. Thank you very much. Today we have to continue on our last episode where we were talking about how to increase our earnings. And so we have talked about a few things, a few points on creating and increasing our earnings to avoid a stress-free life or a financially free life in our relationships. Today, we are focusing on couples and talking about the best approach to have a successful relationship that is stress free. That's what we'll be talking about today. So join us, get your friends, your family to come and join us in the conversation because it is something that affects almost all households. Everybody wants to live stress free, live financially stress free, make a successful relationship, in fact, an amazing one. And that's what we'll be sharing a few points today on how we can achieve that. So,
So,
and so what do you think is some important approaches that couples, we are focusing on couples today,
okay.
can take to make a stress free or achieve a stress free life and relationship?
Stress-free is the one I'm not too sure about, but other ones will talk it. But stress-free, I'm not sure if there is any stress-free relationship. Maybe stress-free, although we're talking in financial aspect, right?
No, in terms of finances and relationship, we're not talking about the outside world. So
Okay.
we're talking about the relationship between couples and like husband and
Okay.
wife, their relationship and also their finances.
I get
That's
it.
what we are looking at, approaches to eliminate stress in these two areas of their lives.
Okay. Oh, I think I'm still tilting towards that side that says I understand that not life is free from stress, but
Mhm.
there is a minimalistic approach in a lot of things we do, and I think it's on that ground that we'll be discussing this now. So I would say one of the major area of having a stress-free life is to do with communication, because what might be stressful to me may not be stressful to you. Because if I assume something and didn't communicate it, then it become that stress side of a trigger. But if what I'm assuming, I think, or maybe that I don't want to say it, then I was able to communicate it, then it would have been all right. So based on the topic of communication, then we'll come back and talk about more communication. But I hear somebody shouting daddy, so I'm going to go upstairs and find out what's happening, and I'll be back.
Okay, so we are talking about communication there. We're going to expand on that because it's a huge area in terms of making a stress-free, relationship. So, but we also want to make sure that from last week that couples are thinking of ways to strategize and monetize their giftings, their skills, and their knowledge and everything, and then scale in their finances, in their businesses, so they can increase their finances. So we are looking at how they can make more money without giving in so much time. So part of it we talked about was passive earnings, passive income. And I just want to remind us of that, because if we are not increasing our incomes, then we might run into financial stress. So we want to now go to communications, because this is a short life and we are not going to say or touch on a lot of points tonight, but we want to make sure that we are putting blocks upon blocks in building this approach that will guarantee that couples relate better without a lot of stress. So let's talk about communication. So sometimes we play down on the importance of communication in a relationship. So let's take, for instance, if you just met me and you don't know much about me, how do you plan to get to know me? You do that by talking with me. The more you speak with me, the more you get to know me. Sometimes some questions are not asked directly, although I prefer to ask direct questions so that I will get direct answers. But we know that everything can never be asked directly. But when you relate with people, then you get what they call in law the course of dealing. You start knowing how you deal with them based on how you previously dealt with them. Then you will want to know how to deal with them, because it's important. Sometimes people snap at things that are nothing because they think it is huge. And that's because of where they are coming from and from their own perspectives, which you didn't know about and probably never thought about. And you are not coming from the place where people think highly of such comments and gestures and body language and stuff. So it's important that we look into talking more. Let couples just talk more this period and use this season of holidays to talk about a lot of gray areas, a lot of things that pose as confusing to you, a lot of things that you would like to know about from your spouse. Ask questions on a very good time. Just open a conversation, ask questions around it, and begin to understand how their frame of minds work and what things will work better. So, if you master the act of communication, you will find that a lot of things will be so easy and things will not be misconstrued, because the person will know where you are coming from. They will not read your mind, but based on the course of dealing, they will know that previously when such things happen or when it was said, that it didn't mean what they were thinking. And so they would just, diffuse it and move forward. So communication is very important. That's how people plan. That's how goals are set. That's how people work as a team. Without talking about things, then people will be going in different directions when they are supposed to be going in one direction or the same direction. So,
There is one thing about communication that I've come to realize, and I think it's better we talk about that now. People sometimes listen to you when you're talking in order to attack, and not listening in order to know where exactly they are getting it wrong. So it's called a defensive type of communication. So say I did something really wrong, and I came back and she said to me, we need to have a talk about this thing. And while she was narrating, I'm hearing, but I'm looking for the areas, the point that I will use to attack. And that way, is the communication is no longer effective, because your mindset is not to take in what is being communicated to you to make the right wrong. Your mindset is to attack the person, to kind of score points when communicating. When that type of mindset is within, whether it's family, relation, whoever it is, and you are into a relationship, a meeting, what you're talking about is just a way to, I call it political way of politics. Politicians do use that way of talking. When they are in speed, they say they listen to find something to attack you. Boris Johnson said this. Margaret Thatcher said those type doesn't work in spousal and family relationship type. What works, what I believe work, what I have seen work is active listening to that person's perspective, the reason why they are communicating. So if you're actively listening, you wouldn't be thinking about how you are going to put up a defense to what the other person is saying. So when practicing this communication style, it is something we have to embrace and take into a full account that I'm not going to listen in order to defend myself now, but let me see her perspective, then I could know where I got it wrong.
Yeah. So if you just keep an open mind,
Yes.
and just act like you didn't know where they are coming from and you would like to know, and you really don't know what they are going to say until you hear it, then you will listen and then probably understand what they are trying to tell. And if you didn't, the best approach is to ask questions. So whatever it is that you are confused about, it's best to ask about it. So what I find some people do is make assumptions. So somebody in a conversation will say, but he is supposed to know. He knew. So, in fact, some of them would say, but he knew. And then you would think that she knew means that she was told or he was told. No, it's just they assumed that that person was supposed to know. And whether they are sure or not is not important. And why would that happen? So, why didn't you ask? Why didn't you tell? He should know. And that's always the conversation that you hear when there is already a problem. And that's part of what leads to disagreements, because it will be that they didn't know. So I kept it there. He was supposed to know. I thought he knew. And that's even a lesser sentence that is during correcting things. That's when they will start saying, I thought he knew. But at the beginning, it would be, he should have known. Did he not know? He knew, but the person was not told at all. So sometimes I think that some of us think that a human being reads our minds. People don't read minds because they are not spirits. It is true that over time, working with you, dealing with you, relating with you, living with you, they learn your mannerisms. They learn how you talk. They learn the unspoken words. They learn your gestures and body language. But there are some things, and for me, I do say that if it's important, then talk about it, because it is trivial things that I can rely on. They will know what I mean by blinking an eye. But if it is something important, especially around money and important areas of relationship, I talk about it. In fact, I make out time to open a conversation to talk about it properly in a quiet place, in a conducive environment, and at an appropriate time when I am sure that the person is only listening to what I am saying and digesting it, because it's important. So it may help some couples to shift away from leaving important things to assumptions and thinking that they know when actually they didn't know. And then two people that are supposed to be going straight will be going on the opposite directions. So that's one of the approach that we can adopt in this coming year and create an amazing relationship and even build wealth, because this communication we are talking about, not mastering the art of communication, is also why some people are financially stressed. Because for those that made a lot of money and those who don't make a lot of money alike, they are in financial stress. Why? Because they don't talk about money and they have no idea where they are going, which direction they are going financially. And so even though the money is in abundance, there is still friction. And for those who don't have enough, then they never get back. So it's important to talk, especially when it is around an important aspect of your lives. Talk about it.
Path of life that you don't have to talk about it because someone have talked, and talked. They think, do you know what? That's no point anywhere. And all they can do is adapting to the stressor. So when you come to adapting to the stressor, what someone asked me once was, I can't change the stressor, but I can change myself. So if that becomes a conversation where it looks quite obvious that you can't just change that stressor, what you need to do is just to change yourself. My question now is, if you change yourself, does that financial stress or whatever that is causing the stress, has it totally been removed from the picture?
Okay, so when it is two people, it's best to navigate as a team. But in the instance you are giving, it means that one person is making things a bit difficult.
Yes.
So they are not agreeing.
Yeah.
They are not agreeing means that they are not even agreeing to a conversation. So, and whatever you say, they are not wanting to align. So the first thing that should be done is to solve the problem, because it is an issue and some of it stems from the place of distrust. So when someone had lost trust in you or didn't trust you at all, it's hard for them to believe what you are saying. And every time you call for a conversation, they will either think you are coming to lie to them or deceive them, or maybe you are looking for an opportunity for them to agree with what you want to talk about, because that kind of manipulation also happen in relationships, where when people call for a conversation, it's just to make sure they get a yes answer so they can do what they want to do. So I think that you have to deal with distrust. And then when you gain trust, or when you have built trust, it will be easy to have conversation, because that they now believe you are in the same team with them, that you are pursuing the same goals, and that you have their best interest at heart, and especially as a family. So they will be happy to have a conversation. Now, if someone is having conversation, are they agreeing or disagreeing? Are they in the category of those who say, yes, we will do it, but never join in doing it, or never allow you to do it? Or are they in the category of those that say everything, no to everything, that it won't happen? So for those that are in the category of it will not happen, no to every suggestion, to everything that you bring to the table, it might be an issue of pride or an ego.
Yeah.
So it may be that there is something from their past that they are dealing with, something that has happened when you were not in the picture, but that's what they are dealing with. And because they have not really dealt with it, it is showing up in your relationship. So it may be, and for example, that they have an ego, and that ego is something that caused it. So if you get involved with someone, for instance, we were talking the other day about a very prominent man who is always collecting perfumes. So if you are in such relationship, you will be wondering, why do we have to buy perfumes? And everyone that comes up, and every brand, Why is perfume eating up on our finances? Why can't you get past perfumes? We don't have enough money to buy perfumes. There are other projects that we have as a family. Why do you keep collecting perfumes? So if you keep having that conversation, confrontation, argument with that person, you will see that although you are talking, but you are not making a headway. That's because there is an underlying problem that has not been dealt with, because that man was bullied as a child and was called names and told that he smells. And so from that age, he started looking for how to diffuse smell, even though he was not smelling. There was nothing wrong with him, but it has entered into his head that when he is around people,
Smells like
that
old
he will be smelling, and that people don't want to hang around him because he smells. So he developed a very low self-esteem and didn't have confidence in his life. Even when he became prominent and was on stages, he was still not confident enough that he can do something or that people will want to hang around him. So you can see that it is something that is causing something to happen. And most of the time, we look for the immediate causes of things and leave the remote causes. But once we deal with the remote causes, then everything will start taking shape. So I will say that make sure you find out why they are not agreeing and why they are making things difficult. Because if you look deep, and of course, talking about communication, how will you find out if you are not talking? So create an environment where communication will be easy, because if you block them or get them so upset that they don't want to talk with you, then you are left with no tools to work with. So create an environment where they can want to, whether they are agreeing or not, at least they can talk, so that gradually you will pave into whatever is causing them to be like that. And once it is sorted, then you can start having a stress-free life. And remember that while you do that, build trust. Make sure that you put things in place that will make them to trust that you are on their side, that you are a team with them, that you actually care about the union, the relationship, and the family, that is top on your list, so they can start trusting you. So that's what I would say.
That is very correct. The stuff you were painting about that man is what we call psychodynamic therapy in psychotherapy, because it focuses on the past of somebody, finding out how their past is now affecting their present state. And in most things in the counseling and psychotherapy sections, if you can't find out exactly what has happened before and you are using a different approach, it will be difficult to get to the root of the matter. And sometimes there could be clients who will be repeatedly going through different approaches from different counselors, from different psychotherapies. But it's really, really good idea for people to understand exactly the area this particular person is coming from, what exactly has led to where they are now. Sometimes it might be just a conversation, and such a conversation might be something that happens in the past that they haven't really dealt properly with. And because they haven't dealt properly with it, their minds keep going back and forth that particular thing. It could be this, it could be this. This is why most people keep becoming a frequent client to other counselors and psychotherapists, where it could be easily sorted by finding out what exactly has happened in their past. Sadly, most people don't like seeing what has happened in their past. But there are other techniques that we could use to find out exactly what has happened in your past. And it's on those techniques that we can now unravel and discover things that has happened in the past, which you may not be willing to say to us, but we can read that out. People people who deal with finances like Chichi them and other things, they can know exactly what happened, why your money is not complete all the time. Why is this money not getting complete? And sometimes I hate when people keep asking, what money? What's about money? Why is this money not come? What happened to money? What happened to money? Money. This is money that we carry around when we're all matter boys. We carry it everywhere we go and we see it. Or cargo, it makes you feel excited that you have it. And sometimes somebody will be asking you, well, how about this? But we were doing our check and balances those days. It was fine. As long as it was fine, and after business day, we've checked our pocket and the money, everything balanced, there's no short. The next 50 pounds will go to Nkwobi. 50 naira will go to Nkwobi. The next day will come again. But some people think it's not the best way of life. And who am I? Who am I? Who am I?
No one is, even I don't encourage saving this and that without taking care of life on demand, life at the moment. So that's why when people talk about financial independence, financial freedom, all of those things, I let them know that it varies from person to person, from home to home, family to family, so that people don't go and start competing. So what you are talking about is, it has nothing to do with not buying the things you want, not living a life or having a life, but it has a lot to do with just spending all you have without keeping a reserve. So it is just someone living without a plan. And for some people, thinking that tomorrow may never come. So what if it comes? What do you do? So that's what it's about. When you start tracking your money and where you put this one, where did it go to, making sure you know where they are. It's not that you can't live your life. And in case there is any family that is having problem understanding maybe where your spouse is coming from when they are saying, let's talk about money, let's find out where our money went to, where did this one go to, what was this used for. If you are one of those people that are finding it difficult to understand that such exercise is important, then I'm here to encourage you today that you should actually be proud that you have someone who is complementing you, who is not exactly like you, who can track money and who can make sure that every pound, every dollar, every naira is assigned to something, and that they are doing what they are assigned to do. Because if you don't do that, you might end up in financial stress, which is what we don't want couples to keep experiencing. We, in fact, would like a situation where couples are living, there are a lot of things to deal with in life, but that they don't have to add their relationship being cumbersome and also their finances adding stress to everything else happening around them and in the world. And without that, how can you then make an impact? Which is why we are here, to make an impact. How can you do that if you are constantly under stress and you have no money? Because you have to have money, you have to have resources to be able to make impact. And financial resources is one of those resources that are important for you to have if you must make an impact and live fulfilled. So
why keeping reserve? Why? What do you want to do with reserve? Why keeping reserve when the business is there? You can go to the business and you get money. Why keeping reserve when you can go back to the shop again, open shop, customer buy things, you make profit and spend from the profit? Why keeping reserve when the clients are paying, the diaries are fully booked, the money is coming? Why? What are you reserving for?
Okay,
why?
So
what reserving for?
So we have dealt with this in on our platform. Why you have to save? Yeah, why do you have to save? We have done that, so you can find the video and watch it, and some other posts that we have where we have talked about or answered this question, but we are going to touch on it again. So the reason you have to save, and remember that don't stop at saving. I want to make sure I include that at every conversation, that you don't just save, maybe put your money in the bank or tuck it under the pillow. Don't do that. Or lend it to people that will return it whenever they have it. Don't do that, because that's not efficient. You save and then you invest it, because that's when it becomes a tool, and an important tool for you to have an earning. So the reason we save is because life moves, and we are
Don't
not
forget what I
here.
say. You say when you talk save, you say that's something you say add to it. You didn't finish that.
I said make sure you invest it.
Okay, I didn't hear
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So save and also invest.
Okay.
Two of them you have to do. If you save, it's not enough. You have to put it to work so that it will be working for you and earning you money. So if the reason we have to save is because you can't work forever, and life has ups and downs. There are no guarantees to anything in life. So you may be here today and tomorrow you are here. That's why you have to save. You cannot also, because of our mortality and old age and retirement, as we and energy, as we grow older, we start losing strength and energy. We can't do some of the things we do when we were 25, at 35 and 45. So as when your energy is up, make sure that you keep reserve that will be working for you. And there is really, sometimes you don't have to put all your time for you to earn. There are other ways you can earn, and part of it is through passive income. And how can you earn passively, like without doing anything? How can you be earning if you didn't put in something? So part of why you have to save is that life is not static, it moves. You have to get to a point someday, no matter who you are, where you will be unable to work as you used to work. There are also unforeseen circumstances like illnesses, accidents. People don't like to talk about it. If you are in a family, say you are a wife in some cultures, or you are children, and you are relying on what your daddy or your husband is making, and you are not saving, you are not investing, even if it's agreed that you stay at home or that you don't earn a living, then you must make sure that you are earning a living through what you get, even though you didn't go out to work. Because if something happens to that particular person who is the income earner, are you sure that you are going to survive? And if you can, for how long are you going to survive on what is left? If you don't have the skills, if you is it at that time you will start going to learn the skills to now earn a living from? And what about your age? So when we calculate our numbers, the fire or wealth number or all of those things, that's what we aim to bring to our notice, so that we will start thinking in that line, that life is not static, and we will someday grow old. We will someday get to a point where waking up very early may be a challenge, and maybe working the number of hours we do now may be a challenge. Maybe earning the amount we earn, we can't earn all through. We can't. We will have to get to a point where we slow down. So what happens to our lifestyle, how we live? Do we reduce it? Do we now die earlier than we are supposed to, or what? So those are the reasons why we have to save. What if an unforeseen circumstance happens? What if something happens that you didn't plan for? Where do you get the money from? If you have counted that this one from your earnings goes to rent, to your driving, to transport, to energy and all that. So when something that is not part of the normal life or your everyday life occurs, where do you get the money from? Do you now go and borrow and then start paying interest? Where does that lead you to, that your income covering the expenses that you have? That's why. So some people will say is for a safety net, and some people will say is for a rainy day. Whatever term you use, it is what it is. It is planning for the unforeseen circumstances, things that are not part of the plan. And so you have to save. If you didn't, you will end up in financial stress. And that's what we don't want to happen, isn't it? So to stay away from the financial stress, and that financial stress hitting your relationship and causing a lot of friction, then you have to plan and make sure you save. When you save, invest so it can be multiplying and working for you.
It can indeed multiply and work for you only if you ask for finance, if you ask for support, help, because we all go through these things. We all go through situations where we can manage some particular. There are a whole lot of things that we can manage on our own that we need experts to help us in dealing with them. And as such instance, it wouldn't be a good decision that you decide to say, do you know what? I'll do it anyway. Whatever happens, what's gonna be, gonna be. What goes up must come down. What's gonna be, gonna be. There's nothing to do about it. That's life. There's a whole lot of things to do about it. There's a whole lot of things to do about it. So, what's gonna be, gonna be. Yes, those are. Sometimes I think those songs are for lazy-minded people. Permit me to use that word. But there are things you could avoid, and which area do you avoid them is by seeking for professional help on those areas that you are having challenges. Don't do it on your own strength. The Bible do say that by our own strength we can't do a whole lot of things on our own, but by the grace of God we could do a whole lot more through His grace. So by your own strength, those areas you're struggling with regarding to do with finances, relationship, career, education, whatever area it is that you think you need help with, feel free, ask for help. And if you think you don't know what area, what person you're going to contact for help, send us a DM. We will direct. If we can't help you, we will signpost you to people who can help you. But it's better not to close mouth. Don't ask.
Yeah, just talk about it. Make sure that you don't die in silence if you are going through a challenge, because the truth be told, everything, most things that are not like end of life has a solution. You just need to find it. But if you close your mouth, how can someone know that you're going through that, to be able to make a referral or to tell you out of their own experiences how they went through such situation? So make sure that, I mean, there is nothing new under this earth. People go through more things than you do, and some people know more than you know, and you know more than some people know. So make sure that you talk about it. The worst thing that can happen to you is to just not talk about things until they take you away. So discuss them and look for help. There are help all over the place. You find the one that aligns with you, the one that you're comfortable with. If you need a coach or a mentor or a specialist or a consultant, find the one that you are comfortable working with and work with them, because they will save you a lot of time and money than when you are doing it on your own. You will make a lot of mistakes, errors, and fall several times before you get to your destination. But if you have someone who had been there, they will lead you to get to that place quicker and without a lot of cost. So that's the essence of seeking help. Remember that there are help all over the place. You just have to shout out for help and you will get the help you need. So make sure from today that you start communicating. That's the point. This is a festive season. Everyone is happy, enjoying the season, spending time with family and friends, and having also a form of holidays and resting. But you also need to utilize the opportunity to talk about the things that concern you as a couple, and make sure that you are on the same page. Is very important. As you spend this season, remember to not touch certain areas of your finances. Your emergency fund, don't use it. This is just a reminder. Don't use your emergency fund. Don't go above the things that you have already planned to do. You can go window shopping if you have self-control. Other than that, or without your pause. But make sure that the things that you plan to do, that you are doing them so that someone doesn't have an issue with you. Because if you have both agreed that this is what you will do, this is where you will stop, don't become sentimental and emotional and go beyond what was agreed. Every time that people, for whatever reason, most of the times for very good intentions, but when they miss what was agreed, it usually turns out to be a problem. So don't get yourself into that situation. Stay within the agreed limit, the agreed budget, the agreed goal and projects, and you will be fine and avoid stress in your relationship and in your finances. So, any final word before we go?
Window shopping without your wallet. What are you talking? That was 10 years ago. People don't even carry wallet anymore. The card is in the phone. So you will be go window shopping without your phone or without yourself.
Yeah, so if you are, I mean,
I've seen people in Morrison, they don't have card. They just open their phone, they buy things, they just bam,
that's your wallet.
So
that's the wallet I'm talking about. You know where your wallet is,
go
whether it's
without
in cash or in card or
your
in
phone.
Apple Pay or whatever. That's your wallet. So what I'm saying is, if you have not developed enough discipline and self-control to say, although this is just £1, I'm still not buying it. Although it was £100, but now £1, I don't need it, so I won't buy it.
If it's £100 and they sell it £1, why will I not buy it?
Yeah, so that's
just £1.
So that's my point, that if you can't control that, then start early. Home, disable your Apple Pay, go without your wallet. Don't take cash along. Make sure that you are not tempted beyond the place where you will now do what you didn't plan to do. That's my point. Because once you finish, then from the same place that the emotion of buy, compulsive buying came, is the same place that emotion of regret and stress will come from. So why do that? So you just have to put measures in place to take these approaches we are talking about, apply them, and then you will end up with an amazing relationship and a stress-free life, especially this season.
Thank you. I have no other further word to say. Thank you, everybody, for being part of us, and we really appreciate you coming down. Taja, thanks. We can see your clap, and every other persons. Thank you,
guys. Thank you, Taja. Thank you for joining us, and everyone. We really do appreciate your support and your company, as always. Thank you. And for everyone, don't mind that we are talking about things to-do list. No, it's not that we want to bother you this period of rest. We just want to make sure that you didn't finish all the enjoyment and return back to stress. We want to make sure that you live a stress-free life and that you deal with your finances, manage them well in this season. So enjoy the season. Make sure that you take some rest, Make sure you enjoy your friends and family, whatever it is you have planned to do. We pray that God will be with you and give you the best results. A very pleasant season for all of you. And we do love you and we thank you very much. Thank you again, and have a
Thanks,
lovely
everyone.
evening. And wherever you are from, have a good day and enjoy the season.
Enjoy the rest of the Christmas and wishing you best New Year ahead. Bye, guys.
Bye, Tasha. Bye. A very happy birthday. I heard it was your birthday last week, I guess. Congratulations, Tasha, and a very happy belated birthday, I suppose. I hope you enjoyed your birthday. Bye-bye. Oh. Okay.